This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about why millionaires need Bitcoin. On this channel, I often talk about Bitcoin as the best savings technology for the working and middle classes. If you work hard and want to get ahead, you simply cannot afford to store your savings in fiat money, which is a melting ice cube, and that's why you need Bitcoin, why everyone needs Bitcoin. In this video, though, I want to address a different audience. I want to address millionaires. This is a world that I know quite well. I used to work in TradFi, including helping to grow Peter Thiel's macro hedge fund from a $50 million assets under management fund to over $2 billion in the early 2000s. So let's say you're a typical multimillionaire in the US. Let's say you have about $2 million worth of tech stocks and stock index ETFs, maybe $1 million of U.S. treasuries or money market funds in your Schwab account or with a private wealth management company. You also have, let's say, a $3 million house. So how would you zero out someone like this? How do you zero out a multi-millionaire? If you're a government and you want to attack them, it's quite easy. You just freeze their brokerage and bank accounts, and then you put yellow sheriff's tape around their house. They're basically zeroed out completely. But wait, my constitutional rights. The thing is, when a regime is threatened, it will lash out and do whatever it takes to survive. And in a crisis situation, the U.S. Constitution is not worth the parchment that it's written on. Abraham Lincoln, for example, suspended habeas corpus in 1862, and this allowed the government to just imprison people without due judicial process. FDR confiscated Americans' gold, and the U.S. Supreme Court did nothing about it in 1933 and 1934. I'll put a link to this in the description notes below. Executive Order 6102, when FDR stole the gold and put it in Fort Knox. Of course, no multimillionaire ever set out to have his or her wealth confiscated by the state. Multimillionaires are usually quite smart and financially sophisticated, and yet this sort of confiscation happens all the time, all around the world. The Russian Revolution, the Weimar Republic with its hyperinflation leading up to Nazi Germany, the Chinese Communist Revolution, the Cyprus bail-in when depositors' funds in two Cypriot banks were used to recapitalize the bank. So basically, if you had over 100, I believe it was 100,000 euros in one of those banks, they just confiscated it above that level. If you're enjoying this video so far and would like to help to support my work, I just ask you at this moment to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, question, suggestion for your future topic, and share this video with a friend or family member. So if you are a multimillionaire, particularly in the US or Europe or one of these countries that traditionally has strong property rights, if you're a multimillionaire who owns only paper assets, stocks, bonds, etc., maybe some investments in hedge funds or VC funds, these are really ultimately only paper assets, or if you own real estate, which is immobile or fixed to the ground, you can easily be zeroed out if you become an enemy of the state. Maybe you voted for the wrong person back in 2016 or 2020, and especially later history, people will decide that you really voted for the wrong person. Maybe you refused medical advice from the U.S. government. Maybe you've been exercising your free speech rights a bit too much on the internet. All these things can make you a target. Or maybe you're just a completely non-offensive person that the regime has no reason to hate, but excessive wealth inequality caused by central bank money printing has led the majority of the people in your country to believe that it's time to eat the rich because they don't deserve the money that they earned. There are always warning signs when it comes to attacking private property. For example, legalizing outright theft has been happening in California for the past few years, where you can shoplift up to something like $1,000 and not be prosecuted. This example from just March of 2024, this year, a New York homeowner arrested after trying to change the locks on alleged squatters. And so she just wanted access to her own property that she had inherited. This poll from, I believe this is actually from 2020, astonishing 22% of U.S. millennials believe society would be better if all private property was abolished. And not to pick on millennials or any cohort or generation, but this is something that's definitely taught in our educational systems from K through 12 and in college by a lot of resentful educational professionals and professors who are basically socialists or communists. So that's the problem. And we're at this nasty part of the long-term debt cycle that will almost certainly include a tax on those with means. And I think this is why you should have some Bitcoin in your portfolio as insurance. When you hold Bitcoin, your savings cannot be debased by central bank money printing. Your savings cannot be frozen by a hostile state. your savings are mobile. There's no other asset that has these properties. Stocks and bonds are stuck inside of your brokerage account. Your house is attached to the ground and subject to jurisdiction risk, as well as increased taxation, and it's impossible to hide or move large amounts of gold or silver. So precious metals are not a solution to this investment quandary either. That leaves only Bitcoin, BTC. So if you currently own no Bitcoin, I think you're taking a huge risk. You're ignoring where we are in the long-term debt cycle. You're ignoring all of these social signs that we're seeing. You're basically long government competence and benevolence. You're betting on government competence, which is never an intelligent bet, especially when debt to GDP is above 120%, as it is now. This is when the debt load of the government becomes so large that it begins to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge negative impact. So when we talk about buying Bitcoin, we're not talking about tax evasion. We're not talking about breaking reasonable laws. It's completely reasonable to be able to buy and own Bitcoin in the US today. What we're talking about, though, is protecting your family and your finances from government overreach at a time of crisis. If you currently own 0 Bitcoin and you're a multimillionaire, you are quite vulnerable wherever you live, even if you're in first world countries around the world. So now let's say that you decide that it makes sense to put 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin after having heard these arguments. Should you buy the Bitcoin ETF? I don't think so. I don't think you should if you're trying to solve for the problems that we've discussed in this video. If you buy a Bitcoin ETF, it's just going to sit there in your brokerage account along with your other tech stocks and your ETFs, also being vulnerable to attack or freezing, while the real BTC is sitting over at Coinbase Custody, the real BTC that's backing the Bitcoin ETF. So paper Bitcoin, IOUs of Bitcoin are not what you want to hold. These are the kind of things where you can end up losing your Bitcoin if, for example, the real BTC that's over at Coinbase Custody backing the BlackRock ETF can be seized in a 6102 type attack, as Roosevelt did with gold. So instead, I would suggest that you buy real BTC, hold it on a hardware wallet. These are all good places to start. I'll put links in the description notes below. I'm not being paid or otherwise compensated by any company that I mention. And all these companies now seem to have something for the high net worth individual. Swan Private, for example. There's River Private Client. There's Strike Private. And there's Unchained Signature. So these are all places you can go and they can help you set this up. I would say that having mobile capital that is not subject to counterparty risk is going to be increasingly important in the coming years. And it doesn't matter if you live in a country that has historically respected property rights like the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, the EU, New Zealand, etc. The cycle is moving away from protecting private property rights and towards collectivism and seizure. So you should ask yourself, what's your backup plan? My backup plan, and my main plan as well, is Bitcoin. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin, or if you have questions about the many facets and aspects of Bitcoin, I'll put a link in the description notes below to this video page for this channel on YouTube. And there's a search button here where you can search, for example, if you're worried about the effect of quantum on the Bitcoin network, you can just type in quantum as a keyword and have a couple of videos about that. So this is a great resource if you want to learn more or you have questions about how the Bitcoin network works. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.